Hey everybody, it's Matt from Healthy Framework. Today I'm super excited to be joined by Kellie Ammerman, the CEO of Tawkify. Kellie, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sure thing. Well, hey, let's get right into it. Super excited to dig in a little deeper and learn about Tawkify today. First up, let's talk about what separates Tawkify from the rest of the matchmaking services that are out there.
Tawkify uses a blend of personalized, human-centric services and innovative approaches to making our connections. One of the ways that we do this is through the feature of blind matchmaking. And this strategy encourages authentic connections by allowing individuals to meet without any of the preconceived notions based on physical appearance or what they put on their own online profile. It also provides an opportunity for connections to blossom based on personality, shared interests, genuine connection, and real meaningful interactions. In addition to offering an online in-person date, we also have stringent privacy and safety practices and a tailored matching algorithm that further elevates the client experience.
That's very cool. It kind of reminds me, I know my wife and I occasionally catch a little bit of Love is Blind. So it sounds like a little bit like that, right? Where you don't see everything necessarily, but that can often help if somebody's used to certain things. You can kind of help work around that if they're kind of going through the traditional side of things. So
Yeah.
excellent. How would you describe the ideal customer that Talkify is designed for?
So we are designed to cater a wide spectrum of individuals, but the ideal customer does often exhibit certain characteristics. They're often individuals who are genuinely invested in seeking a meaningful, authentic connection. So they're very intentional about their dating life, and they're individuals who, while perhaps are successful and busy, are also willing to be open and vulnerable and trusting of their romantic journey to the experts and respecting the professional advice and matches that are provided by their matchmakers.
Very cool. I like that. That's good to hear. Obviously, hiring a personal matchmaker is more expensive than using a traditional dating app. How would you rationalize the cost to somebody who may be concerned about the higher price tag?
Yeah, the upfront investment is undeniably higher, but the depth and quality and potential for success in personalized matchmaking is also a lot higher, and it's a more unique and elevated dating experience. And the personal matchmaking, like the services provided at Tawkify, offer a more bespoke, tailored experience that goes far beyond the algorithmic matching and self-swiping. And so on average, Americans spend about 6 hours a week swiping, and it takes them about 8 months and 11 days to get into that relationship if they do get into one. But we take out all the work and we do everything for the clients except go on the date for them. So they benefit from the expertise and intuition dedication of our matchmakers.
Very cool. So just to make sure I heard that correctly, so the average person is spending 6 hours, was that per week swiping if they're on?
Per week.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it was 8 months is the average time to form a new relationship.
Yep. eight
That's a
months and
lot of
11
time.
days.
Wow. It's a lot of time. That makes sense, right? And often people say time is money. So I definitely understand where you guys are coming from with
Yep.
that. Excellent. Would you say, are there any drawbacks to using a matchmaker that people should be aware of?
Time. I think finding the one can sometimes take time and might not always occur on the first try. So it can require patience. But if people have a positive mindset and they're open to the process, then these aspects just become part of the journey towards finding that meaningful connection.
Awesome. I like that. Is there anything unique about the way that you find matches for someone?
Yes. So we have made over 200,000 matches. And so we use all of the data that we get from all of the information from those matches and the feedback that we see on those matches. And we've used that to inform our own matchmaking methodology that takes that into consideration. And of course, along with people's preferences, with an emphasis on their values and their interests and their lifestyle and things like that.
Very cool. That's one unique way to do it for sure. Something I'm
Yeah.
curious about, and I'm sure others as well, is have you ever struggled to find an ideal match for a client? And if so, is there a process for when this happens?
Absolutely. I think that there are a number of situations where a challenge can be presented. And when this occurs, our team does a meticulous reassessment of the client's preferences and their requirements, and make sure that there's a comprehensive understanding of what exactly the client is looking for and their needs and their expectations. And sometimes this might include broadening the search beyond what their initial criteria was, but of course with their permission. And sometimes that means leveraging the feedback from the previous matches to identify certain patterns that are coming up that are preventing it to be a bit more successful. So it's ultimately this refinement of our strategy to then improve the matching.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And that's nice that you guys can tweak and kind of grow based on what is happening and even getting the feedback from the matches. Switching gears a little bit, are there any misconceptions about matchmakers that you'd like people to better understand?
Yeah, there are a few prevalent misconceptions about matchmakers that could be demystified. Um, One is that there's a notion that matchmaking services are only for people who are desperate or who don't have any options, which is so far from the truth. Our customers include a diverse array of proactive and hopeful, educated and successful individuals who are just genuinely seeking meaningful connections. There's another misconception that matchmakers might force their own views onto clients, but they actually practice listening and amplifying the client's voices and preferences and guiding them towards connections that are going to be authentic and meaningful to them.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense there, and you actually just cleared up one or two that I had, so thank you for that. Uh, and you touched on this a little bit already. I think you had some fun stats there about the amount of time that people are swiping per week. I think it was 6 hours, and the average time it takes to form a relationship was it 8 months and 11 days, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. So kind of along those lines, are there any other metrics that you're able to share with us? Maybe things like the average time it takes with you guys to find a match, success rates, number of clients, anything along those lines, statistically that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, so our success rates are 3.5 times that of the dating apps. And we also do a bit of a more in-depth analysis. So I think that contributes to us being more successful in the way that we think about matching people and what makes for a successful match. We also have an 80% success rate for clients who are with us. Between 6 and 8 matches is usually where we find success.
Okay. That's a pretty solid conversion rate, 80% of the time. So, wow, that's really good. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, to close out, final question for you is, do you have a favorite success story that you'd like to share?
Ooh, I every success story is the favorite success story, but one that comes to mind is recently I had posted something online that received a response of someone just sharing information that they had a friend who had used Tawkify that they went to high school with.
Okay.
And this person had grown up in Ukraine and now they lived in Chicago and they were getting married in the winter. And so I asked if I could share it online and I did. And then the person that they were marrying happened to see the post and responded and said, "Hey, oh, I'm the girl that's getting married." And
Wow.
so it was fun to kind of see that come together on the internet.
That's pretty neat. Yeah. And it's also kind of just a reminder too, just how small the world is overall, with
Yeah,
everything. So that's pretty awesome overall. Excellent. Well, thank you again, Kelly, for joining. It was awesome to learn a little bit more about Talkify. We're excited to keep in touch with you guys and just see how things continue to go. And maybe we can do this again sometime again in the near future. But thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and share a little bit today.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure thing. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it.